guys, Ron here, and better late than ever. I purposely waited for all the DLCs of Scarlet and Violet to be released and the soundtrack to be officially distributed before making my list, and oh boy was it the correct decision. With the amount of character-driven plot and the literal largest assortment of locations we've ever received, this game has some of the most diverse amount of tracks we've heard yet. That's why I was kind of forced to make a top 25, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to talk about some of the most iconic and unique themes in the game if I were to cap it at 20 like usual. Go check out the previous music videos if you haven't. But it literally affects nothing. The order as well as the top 20 and 10 are literally the same. As always, this is a review of this soundtrack, not a playlist for you to listen to. I will be talking over these tracks, but will shut up whenever I want you to listen and understand what I love about these tunes. So pay attention, because Pokemon music is my life. There has not been a day in the last 10 years that I have not listened to a track, remix, or cover of a main series Pokemon theme. I am dedicated to these soundtracks and the fandom surrounding them, so excuse how emotional I will get in this video. Also forgive the amount of times I use the word emotional in this video, because while I don't know if Gen 9 has my favorite soundtrack, I do know that many of my favorite tracks in the franchise come from this game. Not only that, but my favorite melody in Pokemon comes from Scarlet and Violet. I will use the word melody in this video many times, so let's make its definition clear. A melody isn't a song, it is the combination of notes or tune within a song or theme. So when I use the word melody, I'm not referring to the theme itself, but its tune. Is an example of a melody. I listen to the music for the melody, not lyrics or the beat, but the actual tune. I want you to understand my musical preferences because it heavily affects my love for specific tracks. I usually prefer the ones with more pronounced melodies, but I hope you abandon your bias for these games, because whether you love them or hate them, you can't deny the music within Scarlet and Violet is something special, at least within the context of Pokemon. And to sit here and say that Pokemon music is still going strong and maybe even reaching its peak nearly 30 years later is a serious achievement. Now let's begin with number 25. Battle Eastern Pokemon. In this game we have different wild battle themes for every single area in the game. The original one we got in Poco Path is honestly incredibly forgettable and generic, but each area's wild battle theme has flair and character. But out of all of them, the Eastern wild battle theme is my personal favorite. It's exactly what I thought a wild battle theme from an Iberian-based region would sound like. It's got groove, it's got spice, and it's lining up to be one of the best wild battle themes in the franchise. With the Spanish guitar strumming away and the Eastern Province melody shining through, it's as Paldean as can be. If the main melody was expressed a bit more and not drowned out by the backing melodies, this theme would be higher. In fact, all of the wild battle themes would have been. That's why this spot is reserved for all the wild battle themes in the game. Except for the one we'll mention a little later. You know the one. Battle South Province is my second favorite, and the theme that introduces us to the novel concept of dynamic wild battle themes. It's impressive. The bass carries, but I'm not really complaining, just appreciating the vibes. It's pretty crazy how this is early game music for Pokemon like Azurill and Happiny. But after playing through the entire game, I find that I get more and more nostalgic for the next entry. Number 24. South Province. The South Province theme is considered the theme of Paldea. It's adventurous and open. It's practically Route 2, but sounds like a mid-game route in any other Pokemon game. When they go this hard from the beginning, you know you're in for a marvelous soundtrack. Feels like riding through a field on the back of your trusty legendary Pokemon, more than any other province theme. Partially considering that the main melody is basically Koraidon and Miraidon's theme. Remember how the previous three regions had their leitmotifs that appeared throughout the game to represent the region as a whole? Well, the South Province theme is that exact melody that represents your journey, or more specifically, the treasure that you discover along the way. The bond between you and your Pokemon that ends up helping you save the entire region. What I love about this theme is that it sounds like the beginning, middle, and end of your journey. You can play this grand melody at any point of the game, and it would sound appropriate. Listen and imagine where you've been and where you're going. But before moving on, I gotta acknowledge the Blueberry Academy Wild Battle music. It's a perfect remaster and rearrangement of the Unova Wild Battle music. It would have been given the following entry on the list, but I didn't feel comfortable removing a new or original theme from Generation 9 in order to make room for the Unova Wild Battle music. When I heard it for the first time, it cemented the Indigo Disc as one of my favorite Pokemon playing experiences of all time. And the special Dark Grass version for terrestrialized Pokemon that uses part of Area Zero's melody is fantastic. They really nailed this generation's soundtrack by giving us Unova fans some crumbs to nibble on. Number 23. Victory lies before you. gym battle theme in this game is honestly my least favorite gym leader music in the franchise, but once you're facing the leader's final Pokemon, we get a rendition of Victory Lies Before Your Eyes that actually surpasses the Galar region's theme. It's warm and inviting. It doesn't feel like a rowdy crowd chanting at a soccer game. It's harmonic. It feels like kind and warm citizens serenading your friendly competition. It makes you feel welcomed in the Paldea region and inspired to win. It's a marvelous melody that I look forward to every gym battle. Number 22. Mesagoza and the Academy. This is the heart of Paldea, literally. Considering you can't really enter any other building in the city, this music is the theme of Uva and Naranja Academy. To me, Mesagoza is practically the campus of your school, and that's what this music represents. Elevated education and experiences. I'm not talking public school, I'm talking about traveling abroad and studying at a fancy university at an idyllic and ancient tourist destination overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. Imagine meeting your friends or classmates and then going off for some fun and a night on the town. Toby Fox did an incredible job creating a melody that feels eventful yet not too hectic. It's not a bustling city theme, but music of opportunity. You're ready to do anything, and this music will help facilitate that. It's an above-average town theme, one you'll remember for generations to come. When compiling a list of iconic Paldean themes, this should be part of it. While it deserves to be higher, it just so happens that Gen 9 has a ton of music and excels at other aspects of the franchise that you'll notice when we get to the top 10, which will get some Mesagoza representation too. You'll see. Number 21. Blueberry Academy. Like Uva and Naranja Academy, Blueberry has a catchy melody. It just so happens to slightly surpass Mesagoza because it sounds so cool and futuristic. It invokes wonder, but not the unknown. Not the mysterious past, but a future created by humans and Pokemon. It's a theme that successfully conveys a feeling of a running utopia, which the world of Pokemon is. It's the #1 universe I'd want to be transported to, and this theme perfectly represents that school that I would ideally have wanted to go to. It sounds sophisticated yet fun, exciting yet serene, futuristic and technological, yet natural and clean. Originally, I would have thought it sounded too bubbly, but with arpeggios in the background and synths, it sounds honestly like Gen 9's version of a hectic battle facility lobby. I mean, that's pretty much what it is, the biggest battle facility in the franchise. The fast-paced electronic backing makes it feel like Blueberry Academy is the place for the strongest trainers your age to go to develop their battling abilities. It's the music of young prodigies having fun, honing their skills without too much pressure. Number 20. Battle BB League Elite Four. This motley crew of quirky yet grounded teens who are some of the strongest trainers in the world is perfectly showcased by this theme. It's bouncy and intimidating like a teenager, one of the best intros in the game. It's a relatively generic Elite Four theme, but it's still an Elite Four theme, so it's very good, and I think the familiarity was on purpose. I recognize the melody you're about to hear as something eerily similar to the Burnt Tower theme. As if these kids have been entrusted with techniques passed down from generation to generation. I mean, that's literally true when half of them are related to famous Pokemon trainers. This mixture of a traditional Pokemon melody with modern and even futuristic Gen 9 instruments in a relatively gritty and aggressive sounding theme melds both old and new, just like how these fresh faces represent both the past and present of the Pokemon franchise. It feels like an extension of the Paldean Elite Four theme. I just wish it was longer and had more of a standout melody. Number 19. Battle Paradise Protection Protocol. This theme is pretty tight. I'd compare it to Battle Eternatus Phase 3, as it's a leitmotif-heavy fight to the finish with a legendary Pokemon versus another, while sounding triumphant and heroic. Except this one may not be as appreciated as the former, because it's following and preceding some of the most serious and well-written scenes in Pokemon. It's one of the few times I'd say it's a bit too happy and cheesy, and that's why it's not as high up as I would have liked it to be. but I obviously see where they were going with it. Witnessing Koraidon or Miraidon fighting alongside you for the first time after fully recovering their power does necessitate such a celebratory theme, and to finally reveal that the South Province's theme is what represents your bond with Koraidon or Miraidon because it's the location you first traversed with your legendary is kinda brilliant. This theme represents how far you've come, so of course it's gonna be glorious. You and the Paradox Pokemon are the heroes of this story. So embrace the cheese and let yourself live a little and be happy with this fun tune. Number 18. Battle Carmine. This theme harkens back to the earlier days of rival battle themes. It sounds slick and has a straightforward melody that could easily translate to the Gen 4 or 5 era. With how hostile Carmine originally comes off, you'd assume her battle theme would sound a bit more antagonistic, almost like a grunt battle theme, but it isn't. It's cool with its soulful keys and guitar. Listen. Melodic and well composed, unlike Kieran's theme, which I find more unrefined, erratic, and frankly all over the place. I guess this more sincere theme from Carmine kinda shows you how she's more confident and knows who she is, for better or worse. She's a very great person, not evil, not the nicest, and I think this theme embodies such a character. It's not scary, not happy, just cool, with enough edge to make it interesting. It's a battle theme that doesn't get old or annoying to hear in the background, because it's so smooth and not obnoxious at all. Number 17. Battle Arven. I think this is one of the most solid themes in the game. Nothing to really dislike about it. The beat and instruments are extravagant, one of the most Western European sounding battle themes in the franchise. I mean, listen to how charming the melody is. Purposely used accordions because we associate them with France and therefore chefs. As a culinary king, Arven's spicy theme sounds like an elevated version of the cooking curry or making sandwich theme in Galar and Paldea. It feels as happy as I assume Arven is when he's making food. When he battles you, he's presenting his food-based theme as if he's showing us the dish he is proud to have cooked and served. So in a way, this music feels like a chef taking us to Flavor Town. While Arven is relatively brooding, angsty, and at times a bit dense, this theme sounds cheerful and sophisticated. What do you think that's about? I think this was meant to tell us that Arven is simply one of the most three-dimensional characters in the game. He's multifaceted. He'll surprise you, like this fancy theme that would be appropriate for like a suave man double his age. Maybe that's because Arven had to grow up and learn how to be independent quickly. Why else would they use a muted trumpet right now? That's for grizzled men. And let's not forget the instruments that sound like pots and pans being hit with a spatula or spoon. If you weren't convinced before, now it's pretty obvious that this is a theme for a chef. Number 16. Battle Elite Four. I feel like people were a bit turned off by the glitch that made this theme's intro loop, so a great deal of players actually didn't know that this theme actually exists and is a proper Elite Four battle theme, and the fact that its melody takes inspiration from the Sinnoh Elite Four battle theme continues the tradition of Elite Four battle themes referencing past ones. Listen to the following melody. This theme is the definition of the word pressure. It feels like master warriors duking it out in a glass box. It really complements the room this music plays in. It's atmospheric, while still having some notable melodies. It sounds like an Elite Four battle theme without being necessarily generic. I'd say it's in the top half of Elite Four battle themes, and while it doesn't build up to some grand melody, therefore lowering it a bit on the list, it still has a proper crescendo with Spanish flair, and in my opinion, hits hard. Listen! I'd say it's powerful in a subtle way. It feels contained. It's not a world-ending fight, but a challenge or test. The music is reminiscent of a siren that is warning you of danger, like they once again made a theme that embodies the sound of your Pokemon with low HP. I'd say it's a success. Number 15. Battle Top Champion. This part sounds really cool. I'm not gonna deny it. It's riveting and tells you, for better or worse, this ain't your traditional champion. And of course, after showcasing a more futuristic tone, we get a classic melody to introduce Gita as the top champion. Listen. It's not the first or even second champion battle to use Pokemon's main theme, and it's kind of the trend of the entire theme. It's a compilation of a ton of nods to previous champion battle themes. It's relatively generic, but once again, it's still a champion battle theme, so it has its moments, like that nod to Steven's theme, and that Spanish guitar. These familiar champion sounds and culturally tied instruments perfectly embody Gita as a corporate champion of Paldea. She runs a company in the Spanish-based region. That's why it sounds like the theme was made by a board of investors tasked with making a Spanish-themed version of previous champion battle themes. And that's intentional, because that's what Gita is, but it's not without merit. This upcoming part is genuinely fun to listen to. Sure, it doesn't have a very memorable melody, but the instruments used are generally among my favorites in a champion battle theme. Number 14. Battle Ogerpon. Look at her go! This theme is heroic for all the right reasons, and obviously as Japanese as can be for all the obvious reasons. It's honestly what I expected from a friendly Oni legendary battle theme. If you think about it, it's pretty straightforward, so I can't really talk at length about it. The way the theme constantly uses the same motif, but switches the instruments used to play the tune, is a signature Pokemon move, but also mimics how Ogerpon is constantly switching between masks in battle. There are highs and lows in the theme to showcase the constant shifting tides in the fight. You never know if you're about to win or lose in this sequence. It's a genuinely fun Pokemon battle, and that's why there aren't any sad moments. It's pretty cheerful, like a carnival or, as you guessed it, a festival. Almost like playing a game against a child who you are confident you can beat, but who also suddenly impresses you with their sick moves. You're proud of Ogerpon. It's a happy ending for both of you, but not for Kieran. Number 13. Battle Champion Kieran. Man, that violin really drives home how crazy Kieran has become. Now, throughout both DLCs, I was fairly disappointed by Kieran's abysmal battle themes, but after understanding that they all lead up to this one, where Kieran is literally a champion level and going all out, I fully conceded once these guitars started playing. It all makes sense now. That is seriously cool. This is when you take Kieran much more seriously. But it's honestly the main reason people like this theme. It has some really high highs, but really low lows. When the guitar isn't playing a specific or distinct melody, it's kind of a mediocre champion battle music. The melody isn't anything to write home about. Is it because Kieran is putting up a front? In reality, he's acting tough when inside he is a sweet kid, a mild child with mild music? These contrasting elements are really what's keeping this battle theme so high on the list, but I'm not going to complain and put him any lower when we get such a sick solo as this one. Number 12. East Province. I already gave my praises to this province's battle theme, but this is generally a perfected and completed version of this melody. It's exactly what I wanted, from what you can say is a Paldean root theme. In my opinion, the best of the province themes. The rhythm is infectious, it feels timeless. I could play this music to anybody from any generation alive, and they would agree that this is quality music. It's traditional, and I would say it's representative of an entire culture, but it's also hopeful, passionate, and precocious. Bright and cocky, yet mature sounding. The theme of an independent youth, which is exactly what Pokemon is about. I was afraid that we weren't going to get any more root themes with wonderful, epic melodies, but this delivered. And the breakdowns where each instrument showcases its intricate power are wonderful and spicy. Unlike South Province, which builds up to a memorable crescendo, the East Province theme is interesting throughout the whole time. Number 11. Every Nemona theme. Final Battle Nemona is obviously the best of the bunch, but I personally prefer all of her other themes for how they express the melody. This one deserves the top spot though for taking her already energetic theme and truly living up to Nemona's hectic enthusiasm. Every Nemona theme rightfully sounds like a Mario Kart track because this girl has the energy of a go-kart. You fully understand what she's about with this theme. I mean, listen to this. While Arven's more mature-sounding battle theme conveys his many facets, Nemona is straightforward, so her theme embodies what we already understand she is. So I understand why many people find it superior to her more cliché battle theme. It's unapologetically Nemona, and the fast keys you're about to hear are the icing on the cake. If you ask me though, I prefer the lead guitar of the original. It's just a much more pleasant instrument to listen to and isn't too on the nose. You see, it's more subtle, yet still energetic. This feels like a nice drive, while her final battle theme is more like a race. But if you want a real hot take, I think the beat of her encounter theme is my favorite, and I simply prefer saxophone to any instrument in her battle themes. Listen. I think it's my favorite encounter theme in the game, but the most underrated Nemona theme is Victory Against Nemona. This plays after you beat her champion team, and it's what all these themes were leading up to. It's rightfully cinematic for one of the most well-handled rivals in a long, long time. More Nemona in the honorable mentions, so don't worry. Let's finally move on to number 10. Levincia. I think from here on out, every theme on this list is a genuine personal favorite of mine, and Levincia is a proud favorite. A theme that is both slick and cool while having a genuinely expressive and fun melody. It's like a cool fashion model who is a fun dork on the inside. It sounds like a futuristic technological town with lights and billboards, but not in an intimidating way, in a quirky and fun way. It's like a playground made of neon, and while the melody was already kinda nice, it's elevated by the following notes. Like the entire town is a runway for weirdos. At this point, the theme doesn't sound arrogant, it sounds like you can be yourself in this town. A town that champions both science and art. It feels like a mixture of the industry found in Driftvale with the fun night on the town sound of Coney Coney City. Once again, Scarlet and Violet know how to create a theme by marrying contrasting feelings and creating a fusion of ideas. Okay, now I'm sounding a bit artsy-fartsy, but how about we relax with the next theme? Number 9. Cascarafa. Such a pristine-sounding theme. It's so pretty. Feels like a bustling, watery oasis, with each key representing the drop of water from a fountain. A desert utopia. The intro makes me feel so pure, and then went above and beyond with the saxophone. Lots of saxophone in Paldea. It's the jazziest theme in the game, and they went even jazzier with the keys. Aw, yeah. It's cool without trying to be. It's just naturally impressive. It feels like a vacation. It's honestly giving Fennec City from Colosseum, so perhaps that's where the nostalgia is coming from. But also because the composer knows what she's doing. Hitomi Sato is the master of such jazzy compositions in Pokemon. Her stuff always makes me feel like I'm floating through a sunset cityscape. It's the track I'll be most nostalgic for in the future, and I hope you find it as special as well, because it's the type of music we can't be cynical about. It's fine if it's not your cup of tea, but I find it a waste of time if you don't surrender yourself to these vibes and let it be a positive force in your music journey. But before moving on to number 8, I want to give a special shout out to the Battle Blueberry Academy trainer theme. It would have been around here if I didn't impose the rules I made up. The perfect rearrangement of the Unova trainer battle theme was a sound for sore ears. When I heard it for the first time, I realized how much I missed it and how iconic and melodic compositions from this era of Pokemon were. But I can't complain about modern Pokemon battle themes when Toby Fox gives us the following. Number 8. Battle Academy Ace Tournament. This is one of the most underrated battle themes in all of Pokemon because many don't even play through the Academy Ace Tournament, and when they do, they either become tired of hearing it so much or are too focused on the battle that they don't notice how good it is. A saxophone-based battle theme of the Mesagoza and Academy music. It's genius. The sitcom opening vibes are immaculate. It's so warm. It's like having fun competition with your favorite teachers and classmates. I don't know if it's the best battle theme in the world, but it's definitely, in my opinion, the most fun. The call and response between the instruments is lively. The rhythm makes you want to get up and dance with your friends. The soul from the saxophone, once again, is real. It's literally a real performance. Then you have this cute little build-up before the upcoming crescendo. It's so touching. It's like having a cute and lively root theme within a battle theme. The flute is practically saying hello before the guitars say hello back, like two friends meeting for some fun. This refrain heard throughout finally comes to its climax, as if to say this is what this entire game has been leading up to. One theme I'll fight a man over. If you think it's bad, I'm coming for you. What hurts is that many people make such a dire mistake in thinking the theme is about to loop here and that this is just it. This is only half of it though. People already start rating this theme prematurely before hearing the upcoming saxophone solo because they never realize that what you're listening to is build up for my favorite part of the theme. I may have to skip a bit to the part that blows my socks off though. Sure, there are more epic or grander battle themes in Pokemon, but from the bottom of my heart, this is the most soulful battle theme in all of Pokemon. Hear it for yourself! Number 7. Battle Team Star. And you thought I was being melodramatic about the Academy Ace Tournament theme. Hear me out. I believe this theme is the most underrated battle theme in the entire game, and one of the best battle themes in all of Pokemon. It would be number 3 on this list if I wasn't trying to be a little critical. The reason it's not higher is because the intro is the most boring part of the entire track, and people are usually over with these relatively easy battles by the time they hear what becomes one of my favorite tracks in Pokemon. On top of that, you probably battled Team Star grunts less than any other antagonist in the franchise because they decided to have a star barrage instead of actual grunt battles in this game. And it's a shame, because listen to this for a second. This sounds nothing like a grunt battle. This sounds like an uplifting theme for protagonists, not antagonists. Maybe Team Star isn't all that bad. Are they misunderstood and compensating for something? Yeah, because this is not the theme of mere punks. This is the most melodic theme in the game. It's full of these marvelous tunes. Each part is better than the last. You thought this was peak? Listen to how beautiful it's about to get once these starry keys begin to play. At this point, you realize that Team Star are not the bad guys. It's bittersweet and inspirational because these bully students are trying to uplift each other, like how this theme just gets better and better. They're trying to achieve higher heights and reach for the stars. Number 6. Battle Calamity Pokemon. This one has become one of the most popular themes in the game thanks to it not only sounding like the only Indian-inspired battle theme in Pokemon, but also sounding like Tunuk Tunuk, ascending the theme to meme status. It's actually a fantastic theme on its own, even without the comedic factor. It's such a bop, and while these Chinese-inspired legendaries could have been given a more East Asian-inspired track, I'm not gonna complain because this is incredibly unique and eclectic. It's epic, it's ethnic, intimidating and ancient-sounding, but also fun and modern, playful and full of life, like we've finally resurrected some mischievous fellas. It's a theme that has to fit a cast of legendaries that look completely different from each other, so the theme has to be dynamic enough to feel like it represents all 4 of the treasures of ruin, but also incorporate the fact that they're all elemental manifestations of wrath and evil. So this sounds like the music of a spiteful god ready to take revenge, their emotions brought to life, living curses seemingly without real-life experience, so the following chaotic part sounds like a rampage of such heartless objects. Take a listen. And the use of toy piano is such a fun choice to indicate the creepy innocence of these objects. They don't know what they're doing, and just like that you understand the mind of these tortured, ruinous Pokemon. But it just so happens that this isn't my favorite legendary battle theme in Generation 9. Number 5. Battle Pecharunt. The mythical Pecharunt, as the mastermind behind the Loyal 3, shares their theme, but not only is it louder, it's prouder. It's so bombastic, it meshes modern EDM music with traditional Japanese instruments as these resurrected legendaries are brought to the present. Their obnoxious and toxic nature translates into a loud rave. I probably won't be able to talk through most of it, but I think you'll understand why it's so good without me explaining, so listen. That is so good in every way possible. I can't believe Game Freak successfully made 2 legendary battle themes that are tied to a specific culture, are both intimidating and fun, and make you want to dance while showcasing the destructive nature of these resurrected beings. Yet both the Ruinous Quartet and Loyal 3 battle themes sound nothing alike, despite showcasing similar messages. That's pretty impressive. Say what you want about Game Freak, but they're still making banger tracks with real meaning behind them. A perfect way to introduce our top 5. Number 4. Battle Team Star Boss. Thought I could talk during that? I can barely talk now. And the fact that not only is it notable for the real-world talent it takes to make such a track, but it's basically the only battle theme that is actually playing in-world. It's diegetic. That means this music is actually playing in the context of the game. Team Star Grunts are hearing this as you battle their bosses. It's a theme composed by Giacomo himself. So not only did they create this kick-ass battle theme with raw instrumentals and grungy vocals, but they instantly made us respect the character even more by giving him credit for the music. There are themes I'm slightly more attached to because they're more melodic or emotionally driven, but Team Star Boss is easily the most impressive theme in Pokemon. There's a huge chance this theme could have been number 1 if it didn't take so long to get to some of the best parts in the entire franchise. But don't get me wrong, some of the best melodies are coming up right now. I mean, listen to this. It's Such a beautiful melody, I wish it was repeated at least once more. But Battle Team Star Boss is already the longest track in main series Pokemon. Not only does it take 3 minutes to loop, the second loop has insane differences like more drive and distortion, double time and some melody changes to wrap it all in a neat 6-minute bow. It's crazy how emotional and passionate this theme gets. It's just pure teenage rage any of us would exude if we were abused and finally high on power. But it's not simply manifested by chaotic guitar playing by unrefined teens. It's actually beautiful to witness. It's methodical and genius, considering Giacomo is considered to be one of the most intelligent students in the academy, so I mean only a real talent can make such a fantastical musical phrase as this. Number 3. Battle Cassiopeia. Let me take you through what I was thinking the first time I heard this theme. The game has finally revealed to us the obvious. Penny is Team Star's final boss. I think to myself, how can Team Star's founder top the previous 10 out of 10 tracks Team Star has had? Oh, hardstyle? That's a first for Pokemon. I never knew they'd have the chutzpah to actually do hardstyle in Pokemon. I mean, it's a little loud and distorted. I appreciate the unique genre, and it makes sense for a hacker to have such an eclectic taste in music. I can imagine Penny sitting in her room, writing code as this music blasts in her headphones. This is the music that would make her feel powerful. This is what plays in her head when she's on a power trip. Wait, this is getting good. This better build up to something super melodic and euphoric. I can see an amazing drop in the horizon. Please don't let me down. Oh wait, oh! Oh, I get it now. This is going to be part of Pokemon music history forever. It's the anthem for anybody too shy to let loose, but desperately wants to be free. And the duality between the more hardcore part and this magical, sparkly, airy section of the theme once again shows our character's multiple sides. This makes so much sense, especially as you befriend Penny and get to learn about her. Despite being reserved, she's snarky and full of angst. She doesn't hold back around those she's comfortable with. She's full of emotion, so when you bubble that up and finally release all that passion, you get this expressive theme. You don't notice it in battle, but this theme just offers new melodies every step of the way. The ones who have been hurt the most hurt others as a defense mechanism. That's why she gets a little carried away with her responses and comebacks. She can be a bit cringy, but what do you expect from someone without much social experience? So the fact that this theme almost physically hurts to hear at times makes sense. But I wouldn't have it any other way. This is true art. Not because it's perfect, but because it conveys emotion in a believable way. Honorable mentions time, baby. We almost made it. You'll see soon why I'm doing it before number 2, cause along with the number 1 slot, the 2 entries are kinda part of an entire set. There are so many tracks I appreciate that couldn't make the list, and Victory Terror Raid is my personal favorite. It's incredibly underrated, with Area Zero's killer melody and groovy beat I can dance to for hours. Once again, Team Star grunts don't get enough credit because the Star Barrage is such a short experience that you never get to hear the parts that are truly well composed. I mean, this melody is so inspirational, and then you get this guitar solo that should be part of a track that makes it onto the list, but it doesn't because it takes 2 minutes to hear it. And guys, there's another guitar solo that happens soon in this theme, but I don't have the time to talk about it, so go check out the theme for yourself. All the Terraria biomes are such a blast from the past, with the references to Univa's Route 6 in each biome. The Canyon and Savannah biome referencing Route 2. And then ending up at Route 4. The Polar biome gives us some Opelucid representation to honor Drayton. And of course, to coincide with Lacey, the Coastal biome's Driftvale melody. It's a feast for Univa soundtrack fans. I was in heaven. But there are so many cutscenes that have such fantastical themes. I think this game has my favorite cutscene music in main series Pokemon. True Rivals is so emotional and really drives home how much Nemona champions your rivalry. It's not a front. She genuinely values your existence. I can almost cry. "Please defeat me" is one of my favorite lines in any Pokemon game. I generally believe this AI wants to be stopped, and with the Area Zero motif helping bring in all the emotion, I cry every time. The Way Home finally caps the motif established by the South Province theme. It's the last theme heard in the game, during your main quest at least. Truly magical. Hasta la Vista is incredibly underrated. A slow version of the Team Star boss theme as they tell Penny that they care about her is exactly what we needed in this scenario to convey the emotion. Bon Voyage with the reverse keys as Sada or Turo say farewell to their son and save the world is incredibly underrated. But let's move on from cutscenes. The Paldean rendition of the Pokemon Center theme is incredibly cool. To think that such minor changes can easily make the most heard theme in Pokemon feel refreshing by simply adding a second loop with some syncopation. It sounds futuristic and artistic. A Pokemon Center in a Legends game that takes place in the future, perhaps. Battle Northern and Western Pokemon are a level below the other Wild Battle themes, but still great on their own. The Northern theme has great instruments and eventually a nice melody, while the Western one, well, sounds Western. It's pretty novel, but once you get used to the gimmick, you realize how you're just drawn in by the meme. Making Sandwich has gotten a cult following. It's slightly better than curry making, but I personally don't get the hype. It's fun and exactly how it should sound, so it's definitely an honorable mention. I'd like to shout out Celestial, but I can't really play it without getting this video striked. If you were to isolate it without the context of Ed Sheeran and his crowd of haters, it's a good pop song. Nothing genius, but far from bad. It's weird that it had nothing to do with Scarlet and Violet, both musically and lyrically, but it's cool. The Toby Fox remix of Celestial at the end of the DLCs, however, is definitely my favorite iteration. Champion Assessment actually goes hard. In an ideal world, it can be on the actual list, even if it's basically a loop of the same riff. It's atmospheric while also bringing the pressure. A nice nod to the original Victory Road. Number 2. The Area Zero Suite. This spot is reserved for the two most marvelous melodies in all of Pokemon. When you enter Area Zero, you're mesmerized by its depth and lighting, but what completely overshadows the scenario is when the bass drops and the choir begins to chant. You immediately feel the gravity of the situation, both in-game and out. You realize Game Freak not only just released one of the best tracks in Pokemon, but one of the best tracks in the medium. But it's not cemented until what sounds like both the Theremin and Arhu kick in. That's right, the main melody isn't just perfect, it also sounds like a theremin, which we associate with science fiction and the future, but more closely resembles an erhu, a Chinese instrument thousands of years old. This marriage of past and future is literally the theme of this location, considering we're in Paradox Pokemon territory, along with some of the most powerful drums in the franchise. Making this sound pristine and primal gives us a sense of how giant this base is. From this theme alone, we understand that we're not supposed to be here. We are not in control. It's the closest the Pokemon world has come to feeling like an alien planet, despite us already going to alternate dimensions in previous titles. It feels like reality has been disrupted. Whether it's reminiscent of Nier, Made in Abyss, or Xenoblade, Toby Fox went wild. But it doesn't stop there. I'm gonna say it, Battle Area Zero is objectively the best wild battle theme in Pokemon. Heck, in my opinion, it's one of the best composed themes in all of Pokemon. The top two of Paldea are contenders for the top two in all of Pokemon, when you have literal Toby Fox and Go Ichinoze teaming up with each other to give us this masterpiece. They pulled out the full sci-fi pack for this one, boys. We don't even have time to dissect every single musical and instrumental choice. It's something that shouldn't even be talked over. Give it a listen yourself with your finest earphones and pick apart every detail. And when you're done, listen to the Paradox Pokemon version with the heavier drums, giving us a more threatening and primal aura. This mixture of both caveman and robot vibes is genius. The fact that this fits for both future and past Paradox Pokemon is baffling. It's a feat of music. And just like that, you thought Area Zero has given you enough. We got a new, more ominous rendition with subtly new vocals for the Area Zero underdepths. If you didn't notice it already, the famous Area Zero melody is part of Terrapagos' theme. This crystalline Pokemon's power has been responsible for all the shenanigans in Paldea all along. It's the reason the Terra Raid battle theme is not only the first to introduce the iconic Area Zero melody, but also my favorite melody in all of Pokemon, this one. This tune was Terrapagos' all along. Toby Fox was already my favorite non-Pokemon composer for nearly a decade for his masterfully melodic tunes, so the fact that he was brought onto the Game Freak team and managed to compose my favorite combination of notes in all of Pokemon brings my musical taste full circle. It's such an emotional tune. I legitimately cry thinking about it. Friends helping each other out to what is the most inspirational melody in my opinion? All of these themes share the number 2 slot, but the one that deserves it the most is... Terrapagos. Pokemon has always had themes that invoke the thought of crystals, like Iris or Dianthus theme, but this takes the cake. It's the cleanest and most sparkling piece of music I've ever heard. I mean, listen to this! To complete the Area Zero suite, we have the progenitor of all of it. Battle Terrapagos is the closure we all needed to the Area Zero and Terra Raid theme. I kinda cried while writing this video as I listened to the following part. But please, allow me to skip to the part that broke me even more. Waiting for Kieran to come to his senses as the gleam in his eyes returns, from a soundtrack perspective at least, was some of the most emotional music I've heard in Pokemon. This was all number 2 in my prestigious list. There is one theme that I think took all of these fantastic melodies and combined them in the perfect context. Number 1. Battle Zero Lab. This is one of the most subtly scariest themes in all of Pokemon. It's astounding how this upcoming melody is both aggressive and sad at the same time, fairly appropriate for one of the most memorable battles in Pokemon history. It's true emotion and anguish coming from an AI who wants you to defeat it, but whose will is overwritten with the selfish desires of the professor, only to battle you with the might of Pokemon separated by millions of years. Hear the sadness? It's haunting how eerie this theme is, and with the Area Zero melody trickling in, you realize the influence Terapagos' crystals have on this technology. This is the core of Area Zero, and finally understanding the horrors and secrets within its depths is terrifying, and the upcoming part just ups the ante. It becomes scarier. I interpret this part of the theme as evil intent, the AI legitimately trying to win. The doom of Paldea is yours to prevent, but it's the hardest challenge you've faced yet, both physically and emotionally. Both you and the AI are desperate, and then the dissonant, off-key Terror Raid melody comes in, both invoking Terapagos and the power your friends and Pokemon have given you along the way. It's classic Toby Fox, what I describe as determination. I'd wish to end this video off in a more happy note, but just like how this game's main plot ended in such a poignant way, I want my final words to be addressed once again to my favorite melody in Pokemon, which are about to be played in my favorite part of my favorite theme in Generation 9. Let it be known that to me, this is peak Pokemon music. I hope it made you as emotional as it made me. Thank you.
You